Hey y'all, it's entry number 39 of this off-season series where we discuss a different player's fantasy value each day as a group. We are another day closer to the start of the 2022 NFL season. Each day we'll drop a name, go through some positives and some concerns of their fantasy profile, and then I'll give my personal opinion at the end. Today's discussion will be on Rashaad Penny, running back, Seattle Seahawks. We'll start with the positives with Rashaad Penny's fantasy profile. Running efficiency. Penny has been one of the most efficient runners in the NFL since he came into the league, averaging 5.6 yards per carry over the course of his career and 6.3 yards per carry last year during the 2021 season, according to Pro Football Reference. In addition, he had a true yards per carry of 5.2, second best among running backs, averaged 6.4 yards per touch, first among running backs, created 3.83 yards per touch, second best among running backs, had 15 carries of 15 or more rushing yards, fourth best among running backs, and had a 12.6% breakaway run rate, first among running backs according to Player Profiler. Clearly, he's a great rushing talent when he's on the field, and it's very rare to be able to draft a guy that has shown this much as a runner at Penny's current ADP. The next major positive of Penny's profile is his strong second half in 2021. In his last 6 games of the 2021 season, Rashaad Penny took 102 carries for 706 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns on the ground, according to Pro Football Reference. These are very strong numbers, and if Penny can perform anywhere close to these levels again in 2022, he'll be a nice fantasy value in drafts. The last major positive of Penny's profile is that he protects the football. Penny has fumbled just one time in his NFL career of 303 touches, 280 carries, and 23 receptions, and has a career fumble rate of 0.33%. By protecting the football, it makes it less likely that Penny gets benched for making a mistake like fumbling the football. Moving on to some of the concerns with Rashaad Penny. Competition with Kenneth Walker. The Seattle Seahawks drafted Kenneth Walker in the second round of the 2022 NFL Draft. Walker is a pretty talented back who had 1,168 of his yards after contact during the 2021 season for Michigan State, according to an article by the Detroit Free Press, and had just 2 fumbles, 1 lost, across 480 carries and 499 touches, according to Fox Sports. It isn't going to be a walk in the park for Penny to see a lion's share of the touches as long as Walker is around, and there's a decent chance that the Seahawks roll with a bit of a running back by committee approach. The next concern I have with Rashaad Penny's fantasy profile is his pass catching usage. Over the course of his 37-game career, Rashaad Penny has caught just 23 passes on 31 targets for 206 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown, according to Pro Football Reference. He has yet to have 10 receptions in a single season, and that makes it a little harder to trust him in any PPR formats. The last major concern I have with Rashaad Penny's fantasy profile is his injury history. Penny has struggled with injuries in his career and has only played in 37 of a possible 65 games, or 56.92%. His injury history includes a torn ACL, a grade 2 hamstring strain, a grade 1 knee strain, and a broken pointer finger. Availability is one of the best abilities, and Penny hasn't proven that he can consistently be available for games at this point of his career. Some additional thoughts on Rashaad Penny. During the 2021 season, Penny was RB31 in standard, with 115.7 total fantasy points and 11.6 fantasy points per game. The RB36 and half PPR formats, with 118.7 total fantasy points and 11.9 fantasy points per game. And the RB42 and full PPR formats, with 121.7 total fantasy points and 12.2 fantasy points per game, according to Fantasy Pros. The Seattle Seahawks running back room averaged 20.35 carries and 3.94 targets per game during the 2021 season. The Seattle Seahawks offensive line ranked 25th at the end of the 2021 season, according to Pro Football Focus, but it looks like they will have 3 new starters for the 2022 season. With these changes, going into the 2022 season, they are projected to be the worst offensive line in the league, according to Pro Football Focus. The Seattle Seahawks offense ranks 16th in points for and 20th in total yards for the 2021 season according to ESPN. This was with star quarterback Russell Wilson starting 14 games. Now, the team will no longer have Russell Wilson, who was traded to Denver and bearing a roster move is slated to start Drew Lock or Geno Smith at quarterback for the 2022 season. Because of this, it is pretty likely that this offense ends up in the bottom half of the league, with a fairly realistic chance of finishing as a bottom 5 scoring offense in 2022. Penny posted a broken tackle percentage of 20.2% in 2021 according to RotoWire. In .5 PPR formats during the 2021 season, Penny had 4 out of 10 games with 0 to 5 points, 2 out of 10 games with 5 to 10 points, 1 out of 10 games with 15 to 20 fantasy points, and 3 out of 10 games with 25 or more points according to fantasy data. Personal opinion. As of early July, Rashaad Penny is going off the board as RB33, about pick 110 overall on ESPN, and RB29, about pick 87 overall on Yahoo. From a talent standpoint, I like both the backs in Seattle. From a situational standpoint, I hate what's going on in Seattle. I think Penny's ADP should be somewhere in the middle of these two sites, and would say he's ever so slightly overvalued on Yahoo and undervalued on ESPN. If I draft Penny or Walker in my leagues, I would do my best to acquire the other one in the draft as well. Since they are both not overly expensive, both are generally going round 8 or later right now in 12-teamers. And if a clear lead back emerges throughout the year, one of them will be a positive value.
For each of these entries, we will highlight a charitable cause or organization. I couldn't find a charity that Rashaad Penny supports, so here's a link to Chris Carson's 2020 My Cause My Cleats of Choose 180. Here's a link to that organization below. And that's it for today's entry. If you enjoyed this entry, be sure to like and subscribe.